Hey, listen, I want to talk real quick. I'm going to be brief tonight because I got some stuff I need to go take care of here in a second. But real quick, I wanted to talk to you guys about what is your FIN number? Are you aware of what your FIN number is? Your FIN number is your financial identification. I'm thinking about business. Your financial independence number. I'm thinking of an EIN for a second. But your FIN number, FIN, is your financial independent number. What is your freedom number? Here's how you determine what your freedom number is. What amount of income do you need to come in to continue living the lifestyle that you currently live? So let's say, for example, you make $85,000 a year. You have to figure out how can you replace $85,000. But here's the deal. You may not have to replace $85,000. Here's why I said that. Because $85,000, the lifestyle you're living within that, it's including your cost of living. It's including you traveling to and from work, food expenditures, clothing allowances, uniform cleaning, different things that cost that account for working a 9 to 5 or leaving the house. So think about it. If you never had to leave the house, instead of the $85,000 you have to replace, you may only have to replace $70,000. Maybe even $65,000 when you actually do the mathematics. Okay, so know what your financially independent number is, and then chart out a way to where you may be financially free and independent if you start a business of your own or some type of product or service that you can make $10,000 or $15,000 more than what your job is paying you right now. That may afford you the financial independence that you're actually looking for. So you also have what's called a lifestyle number. A lifestyle number is the number, that amount of income that you need to live the lifestyle you're currently living and have excess to be able to do the cool things in life you really want to do, like the luxury items. If you're into boating or yachting, to be able to buy a boat or yacht or go out boating or yachting whenever you wanted to, things like that. So understand those two numbers because that's how you gauge where you're going. So a lot of times we work professions, careers, jobs for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, but you have to have the end in mind. That's one thing I always look at. What's the end? What's the end goal? So think about this. A lot of times people buy companies or build companies with the intent of having that business forever. Pass it down to your kids and your grandkids. Listen, there's only 2, maybe 3 of our companies that we plan to pass down to our kids. Otherwise, we build companies to sell companies. So you hear everybody talk about scaling companies. Everybody uses that word so loosely, it's like that's just the thing to do, just scale your company. But we scale to sell. That's what real wealth is. This company behind me, my healthcare company, I'm not passing that company down to the kids. That company is currently being scaled to sell. We have several companies where we're scaling them with the intention of selling. That's the exit strategy. You have to have an exit strategy. Everything has an exit point at some time. There's an expiration on everything. You go in the refrigerator, you got an expiration on your juice, on your milk, on your eggs. Everything has expiration dates, but you have to plan accordingly. So if you know that the milk is going to expire tomorrow and you just know you're not going to eat a bowl of cereal tomorrow and the next day, you already can plan for discarding that milk when that expiration time expires. So the same thing with jobs. Listen, a job many times, once I remember I was in the military, we had a process called rifting where you would get rifted. So they would rather get rid of an E6, E7 or E8 and bring in 3 or 4 E1s or E2s and pay them the same amount they were paying that one E6 or E8. Companies are no different. They do the same thing. It's like they will have you train your replacement or replacements because you'll train 2 or 3 people and they're going to come in and divide your $85,000 up for their starting pay at $24,000, $25,000. So with that in mind, we have to be able to strategically think, how am I going to exit through this process? So Tara and I, we just had a conversation a minute ago. We were talking about, she said she has like less than a quarter of a tank of gas, and she said she's been riding around for like 4 days on that. But when we think about it, we don't have to go anywhere. Everything we do is at home. I had a mentor many years ago. He said, listen, Sean, you should make your home such that it is a resort that you never want to leave from. And that's how our home is. We got palm trees all around the property. We got outdoor theater, outdoor cafe, all kind of everything we want is right here in our home that we just never really leave. Tara just took Kaden to a karate practice. She's like, "You want to go to practice?" I was like, "No, I don't. I live at home. I stay at home. I rarely leave home. I really don't if I don't have to." So again, you have to ask yourself, what does financial freedom mean to you? Financial freedom doesn't necessarily mean you got to have $1 million in the bank. Doesn't mean you have to even be making 6 figures. Like I just said, itemize and take a look at your lifestyle, where you're at, what's important to you, what you want to do, and then figure out, listen, can I start a consulting company doing what I do for this company, for this corporation or this company that I've been doing for the last 10 or 15 years? Because if you've done something for 10 or 15 years, I've got to believe that you're very good at what you do and you can consult. I had countless clients that worked for companies for 10, 15, 20 years that through coaching with me, I showed them how to start their own consulting company, doing what they did for the corporation. They left the corporation, went back to the corporation as a consultant, where they made more money than they made working full-time, 40, 60 hours a week. They now only work 2-3 days a week. I'm sorry, 2 to 3 days a month, making more money than they did when they worked 40 plus hours a week. See, it's all about how you strategize and map out your blueprint to success. You guys often hear me talk about it's easier to make your annual salary in 30 days than it is to make it all year. I just shared with you guys as we closed out 2023, the last 3 weeks of the month, Kaden spent 18 minutes and made $50,000 in 18 minutes. And that was at the wire. So I say that to say is you got to have blueprints and strategies, have someone who can help you through the minefield to show you how to do that. But the whole thing is to understand your exit strategy. You got to have the end in mind. So think about, what is it that's important to you? Many people that's watching, an extra $1,500 can change your whole lifestyle. Think about it. In Atlanta, $1,500, if structured properly in a real estate deal, man, you can be living in a 6-7 bedroom house and paying $1,500 a month with a good interest rate. One of our properties we purchased a few years back, I think we got a 2.37 interest rate on that loan. And we knocked down the loan because I showed you guys how you can pay off a 30-year mortgage in 4.5 years. If you don't know how to do that, link up. Let's talk. That's what I show my clients how to do, how to pay off their real estate holdings in anywhere between 4 to 6 years, instead of using the 30-year method of mortgage payments. So it's things like that. When you don't have to go to a job because you have financial independence and freedom, it gives you time to think. It gives you time to come up with creative ideas of, you know what, how can I pay off a house in 4.5 years? How can I buy 3 houses this quarter and have them all cash flowing for me? But I just remember me, when I had to work a 9 to 5, I couldn't focus. I couldn't think about doing anything other than what I'm supposed to do those 40 hours a week. I didn't have, my creativity was being capped. So I knew that it was important for me to be able to have my time freedom so that I could think, so that I could have clarity, I could have focus. And then I was able to build out my blueprint. I was able to be the architect of my destiny, which afforded me to have the financial freedom and time that I always needed. So if that's you, I don't know if that's you. It may not be you. You may love what you do. If so, that is absolutely great. But if you are that one, you're that family that say, hey, we want to do something a little different. I enjoy what I do for my profession, but I would like to make an extra $1,500 a month. I would like to make an extra $5,000 a month. I would like to make an extra $10,000 a month. Think about if you had an extra $5,000 a month or an extra $10,000 a month, what you could do with that. If you had an extra discretionary $5,000 a month, you could buy at least one. But if you know what you're doing, you can buy 2 properties every month with that discretionary income. And then imagine the cash flow that comes in with that, the revenue that you are now creating. So at the end of the year, if you only bought 1 house every quarter, that's 4 new properties you have at the end of the year. your cash flow should generate in such a way that now next year you should be able to buy a property every 2 months at least. So at the end of next year, you now position yourself where you have 6 properties. So you have 4 properties in 2024. 2025, you picked up 6 more properties. So now you have a total of 10. Then year number 3, you should definitely be positioned where you can pick up an asset every single month. So now you have 12 plus 10 for the previous 2 years. You now have 22 properties in 3 years. There's no way possible with proper guidance and coaching that you should not be a millionaire in 36 months. Because wealth, the staple or the pillars of wealth, real estate is that biggest pillar. That's how all wealthy people, how we developed our wealth, through real estate. The real estate then gives us money to do other investments, other cash flow strategies. And then at the same time, if you were just pulling money to the side to start a business, to be able to create some cash flow, use that cash flow to help build the business, of course, but to also buy assets. And like I said, the number one asset is real estate. Whether it's stocks, whether it's commodities, whether it's precious jewels, whether it's if you're in Bitcoin, whatever it is, if it could be art collection. Listen, the award that Caden just received a couple weeks ago when we were out in Houston, Texas, it's an NFT. So it automatically, the value of it when he received it is automatically $10,000, just the award itself. I just did a video a couple days ago where I was talking about, I saw somebody that had received an award for working like 10 years, dedicated service, all that kind of cool stuff. I got a buddy of mine, he worked at a trophy, he owns a trophy shop. He said those trophies and plaques that you typically get at your job, he said their value is only between $7 to $12. That's how much they cost. So you work for a company for 10, 20, 30 years, the company spends $15 to give you a award for service for 15, 20 years. Keep the trophy, give me the money. That's the best way you can show your appreciation for somebody, right? Give me money, a promotion, something, but I could care less about the trophy. So the point I'm saying here is figure out what is that amount of income that if you just had that extra coming in a month, how it could change the whole landscape of your financial future for you and your family. So listen, man, we're wrapping up the first month of the year. Today's the 25th. We are done, technically, kind of, sort of, with January. Now, we squeeze every bit of the juice out of the turnip, so a lot of people are already mentally in February. Nah, we got to get all this in January. But I say that to say that we're 1/12 of the way through 2024 already. Have you achieved your New Year's resolution? Did you hit your goals? Are you on track to hit the goals? If not, slow down to speed up. That's one thing one of my mentors always taught me. Slow down to speed up. And you got to get good at being able to self-adjust. I often talk about aircraft. When a plane, this plane behind me, when that plane goes from Atlanta to Los Angeles, the nose of that plane is off 2 degrees 90% of the flight. So the pilot has to self-correct continuously throughout the flight. He's getting information from the tower, i.e. a coach. He's getting information from his instruments, i.e. mentors, to keep him on track. Because if he didn't pay attention to the towers, he didn't pay attention to the instruments, he'd end up in the state of Washington when his intentions were to go straight coast to coast in a straight trajectory. But the 2 degrees, if not corrected, he'll end up in Washington.